Sir, can I ask one question, sir?
Yeah, Titus. Titus, yeah. Tell me.
Actually, sir, earlier four assignments, sir, due to some technical problem in my phone, I unable to submit these four assignments, sir. So, how can I submit these earlier assignments, sir? Can you help me, sir?
Sorry, I didn't get you. What do you want me to do?
Sir, actually, due to some technical problem in my mobile phone,
Yeah, I
I
understood
unable,
that. Yeah.
I unable to submit, sir, previous four assignments.
Okay.
So, sir, the latest one I will submit in 31st will be the last date. So,
Yeah.
sir, previous four which I have unable to submit, sir. How can I submit this previous four
Oh,
assignments, sir?
I think you'll have to talk to the NPTEL people. They are the only ones who can. I mean, they don't take into consideration such things, but you can write a mail and ask them.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help you
Okay.
over there. Yeah, NPTEL is the only people. They are the only people. I think it's the you can contact NPTEL. You have their email IDs and stuff like that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you. Okay, so it's 6:01. Shall we start then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Hello everyone. Jobin here, and this is the fifth week of our discussion session. And yeah, I'll straight on move to the first question. Yeah, the question is on your screen. I'll give you a minute to. You can use a pen and paper as well. Yeah. I mean, today is not much of problem solving kind of a session, but yeah, you can use one pen and paper if you want. So basically, this is from the capture recapture that sir might have. He has mentioned it very cursorily, and all his solutions were done like quick seconds. So I'm pretty sure most of you might not have gotten how he did it. So that's why I put this question over here. It's actually one of the simplest one in the whole calculating abundance, those kind of problems. So capture recapture is, I mean, at least. Titus, could you mute yourself? Sorry. Yeah. So yeah. So this is actually one of the so basically, how so I'll just give you a brief about the question. So a farmer wants to calculate the number of mice in his barn. So one day he places a trap for he places traps for the mice. So there were 12 mice caught in these traps. They were counted, marked, and released. 5 days later, he places the same number of traps for mice to enter. So this time he counts 14 mice, out of which 7 are marked from the previous capture. So the mice were then released. Estimate the total size of the mouse population. Okay, so there are several assumptions while estimating the total number of mouse population. So first of all, the assumption is all the mice have equal probability of being caught. Okay, there are several other assumptions which I don't remember now, but you can look at assumptions in capture recapture method. So how do we go about it? Okay, so there were a few mice, and they were caught initially. So 12 of them were caught. They were marked. So how do you mark mice? So you will either have tags on the ears, or you have fur clips. So you can, I have done some kind of a field work where we were catching rats, and we were doing some recapture sort of thing. So since the metal tag on the ear was getting to be, the forest department was not very happy with the fact that we were tagging the mouse with metal tags. So we had to switch our tagging method. So what we did was we used to clip the fur on the back of the mouse, so on the dorsal part of the mouse. So how we did was, like, we'll have A, B, C, D, and on the bum EF. So that way we have like 6 positions where we can clip the hair, and the combination permutation of these 6 positions would give you like what is the identity of the mouse. So suppose we have AB, so that could be a mice AB. If it's AC, that would be AC mice. So kind of like that. So that way you can mark mice, and then once they are released into the population, so they'll mingle with the other mice, and then you catch them again, and again, assuming that all the mice have equal probability of being caught, you will catch a certain number of mice. But do you see that the number of mice that you catch, the marked individuals will be proportional to, so basically the proportion of marked with unmarked would be proportional to the total number of marked in the total number of mice. Do you get my point? Yes or no? Okay. So yeah. So basically the formula is m by n equal to r by r. Okay, so m is the total number of marked mice, n is the total population of mice, r is the mark recaptured, and capital R is the captured in the second lot. Okay, so if the probability of catching a mice is same for all the mice that are involved in this population, then okay, if there are like 25, if there are like 25, how do I, okay, let's just not go in there. It involves a lot of probability and stuff like that. The simple formula is basically ki total number of marked mice upon total population of mice. So basically mark the number of mice marked which are recaptured upon the total captured in the second lot is equal to the total number of marked mice upon the total population of mice. It sounds very tricky, but yeah, it's all depending on the probability stuff. So then once you put that formula, the answer is straight away, like n is equal to 24. Did any one of you get what I was saying? No, Monica, it's not 38. Sorry. Where did I write 38 somewhere? No. So it's straight away formula. So basically, okay. So suppose you have 5 balls in a bag. Okay, and you have 5 balls with different colors. All of them are different colors. Okay, so there's a red, green, blue, purple, and yellow. There are 5 balls and 5 colors. Okay, so what is the probability that I'll pick a yellow ball? Can someone tell me? I mean, all the balls are same size, all the balls are same grip and everything. So there's no difference between the ball, and the probability of picking any ball is the same. So what is the probability that I pick a yellow ball from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colored balls in a bag? Probability varies from 0 to 1, so make sure of that. Number of yellow balls upon total balls. Yes, okay. So how many yellow balls were there? Okay, yeah. Aparna has got the answer, 1 by 5. Okay, so probability of yellow balls upon total balls. Okay, so now if I have 5 balls, 2 are yellow and 3 are red, what is the probability that I'll pick a yellow ball? 2 by 5. Yes, perfect. So you get the probability. So now if there are, in the mice population, there are marked mice. Let's just call them red balls. And there are unmarked mice. Let's just call them blue balls. Okay. So the total population is N, and the marked mice is R. I'm sorry, marked mice is M. Okay, so M is the marked mice and total population is N. So what is the probability that I pick a marked mice? It's the same, yellow balls, red balls. There are 2 yellow balls, in total 5 set of balls. So that would give you the probability of picking a yellow ball is 2 by 5. So there are M marked rats in N number of mice. What is the probability that we pick? Yes, perfect. So it's M by N, not 12 by N. Where did 12 come from? Okay, okay. No, I was asking if M is the number of marked individuals and N is the total number of individuals. So Raihanul is right. It's M by N. Okay, so that is the proportion of picking basically picking one marked the probability of picking marked mice out of the total population. Okay, so that's the same as picking mice being caught in a trap. Okay, so after that, okay, so let's get back to the yellow thing. Yeah, let's get back to the yellow thing. So in the bag there are 5 balls, 2 are yellow and 3 are red. I pick 2 balls. Okay, I pick 2 balls. Where am I going with this? What is the probability that one of them would be? What is the probability? No, okay, leave that. So M by N is the probability. You got it. Okay. Now, if we pick out of the entire population, if we pick some balls out of it, the assumption is the probability of the distribution of these marked and unmarked individual in the picked lot will be similar to the probability of the distribution of marked and unmarked in the total population. Do you get my point?
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Yeah. So when these mice were caught the second time, so can you please tell what's the pattern of the? It's all MCQs, Ishwar. There's no descriptive answer. Apparently, that's what Sir told. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So now there are the second time these mice were caught. 14 of them were caught, and 7 of them were marked. Okay. So then now we know that the distribution of marked and unmarked in the caught population second time is the same as the distribution of marked and unmarked in the total population. Okay, so that's why we are equating it. 7 by 14 is equal to 12 by n. 12 is m right now. M for money, M for mice. So 12 by n is equal to 7 by 14. So that means n is equal to 24. That's as simple as that. Are we clear, most of you? People?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, then I'll move on. You already took like. Okay, so the second question, I'll give you like a minute to read. Okay, Rehanul has given his answer. Anybody else wants to give any other answer or the same answer that Rehanul has said? Might be A as well, confused. Okay. So in this is line transect. Basically, what you do is you walk on a line, and if you see an animal, so line transect is for surveying animals. Could be a deer, could be a bird, could be a tiger. So and line transect is for calculating the density of that animal in that particular forest. So if you have a large forest, you put a lot of line transects, and then you figure out the densities of each line, densities of those animals in each line, and then you find the average, and that's how you find the average density of that animal in the forest. Okay, sir has explained it a bit in the presentation. You can go back again, but right now I'm not asking about you that part. I'm just asking about how the animals are distributed. So if you look at the question says the true distribution of the surveyed species is assumed uniform as the distance from the observer increases. Okay, so that means if x-axis is the number of animals and x-axis is the distance from the observer, and y-axis is the number of so probability that the animal is present. So then in the line transect, the true distribution would be parallel to the x-axis. Yeah, so it would not, so that at least the distribution, so the animals do not change based on the distance from the observer. Okay, but what is a point count transect? Point count transect is basically where you have the observer at the center of a circle, and you don't move, you just stay at that point and count the number of birds or number of, so it's usually done for birds. I don't know a study where they have used point count for mammals or other animals, so it's definitely done for birds. So in a point count, the person stands at the center and then counts the number of birds that he sees. So he also, or he or she, sorry, they also calculate the number of, so they calculate the distance of that bird from the observer. Okay, so that's how point count the methodology is. Okay, so what they are asking is if the distance increases from the observer, does the distribution of the animal increase or decrease, or remains the same? Okay, so one can see over here. So the same thing, there's an inner circle, then there's a circle outside, then there's a circle outside, then there's another circle outside. So basically, if you increase the radius of the circle, you'll find that the area that the circle covers is also increasing. Is everyone here with me right now, till now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the area within that band is also increasing. So pi is less than 3 pi, is less than 5 pi, less than 7 pi. Okay. So that means if the bird, sorry, if the bird is equally distributed in the entire circle, the number of birds that you find in the smaller circle would be less than the number of birds you find in the second circle, which would be even less than the number of birds you find in the third circle, which would be much less than the number of birds you find in the fourth circle. Because equal distribution of the animal, if it's equally distributed, then it depends on the area that you are counting, right? People are here with me, people are still there with me till now. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If a bird is flying, how to calculate distance? So there are different ways. If a bird is flying, so basically when you calculate the distance of the bird, the methodology has a lot of intricacies. I mean, there are a lot of things that the methodology counts. So basically, what you do is you count the birds, you count the distance of the bird where you first saw the bird. If it's flown away, then you don't count that bird again. Also, anything that goes overhead is never counted. Okay, so there are several rules to do point count transect. Okay, so now you can see if the distribution is equal, then you will see that the inner circle has less number of birds. If you go to the second circle, you'll have more number of birds. If you go to the third circle, you will have even more number of birds. If you go to the fourth circle, you'll have more number of birds, most number of birds. So basically, from the observer, if you keep increasing the distance, the number of birds are increasing. Do you get my point? If you keep increasing the distance over here, the number of birds are increasing. So the answer is the line increasing as the x increase. B. Are people with me? Yeah, I'll assume everyone's understood. Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. So let's move on. I'll give you a minute to read the question. It's actually one of the simplest question in the whole set of questions that I have for you today. Give me the answer quick. So Rehanu says A. Anyone else? Monica says B. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake over here. Sorry, Monica. I think you're right. Should have done lightest light. Do you want to change your answer, Monica, Aparna? Yeah. Okay. Change the answer. Cool. Everyone else got the question. So the question is basically there is a I mean this square is the habitat. Jyotimani says A. Okay, good. So the question is yeah. So this is the habitat. Yeah, and within the habitat there are four types of sorry, this is the habitat. There are four types of vegetation types. So there's a lightest, then there's a light habitat, then there's a dense, and then there's a densest habitat. So this is based on the color. Okay, and then there are birds randomly distributed within these vegetation. Okay, and the bird is also dark in color. So the question is asking you, where do you think you will miss detecting the bird the least, or where do you think you'll actually see the bird the most? Okay, so now can you answer others apart from Raihanul, Monica, Aparna, and Jyotimani? Where do you think you'll see the bird most? Where is the what is the which habitat or which vegetation type would have the highest probability of you seeing the bird or being able to detect the bird? Yes, Titus, you were saying something.
Sir, C, dense.
Okay. Why? Aparna, you changed your answer, is it? Wait, why are you changing the answer? Sorry, did I say something wrong? So I'm asking you, which vegetation type would you be able to see the bird most? It's the opposite of where do you think the probability of missing the bird will be least. I mean, it's not the opposite, it's the same as that. Monica and Aparna, I don't understand why you changed the answer. Did I say something wrong, or did you understand something wrong? So the question that I'm asking is, in which vegetation type is the bird most easily seen? That is very simple, straightforward. Which is the most bird population? No. I didn't. I said where is it most easily seen? Seen. I'm not asking you to count the bird. I'm just saying where is it easily seen? This we are talking about the detection and not about the uh, occupancy of the bird. You understand seen, SEEEN, like where are you? Yeah, in lightest vegetation we'll be able to see the bird most easily. Is everyone with me in this part? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then the answer is lightest. So that is, this is because the bird is black and the background is, yeah, the background is light. You would be able to see the bird most easily in the lightest background. On the other hand, where the bird is black and the background is almost black, it's very difficult for you to see the bird. People understood with this part, right? Cool, then we'll move on to the next question, which is on the same question. So the detection probability of the birds in the previous question can be represented by which of the following graphs? A, B, C, D. Detection probability is basically where can the birds be detected, or where can the birds be seen or heard the most. What is the probability? Yeah, of the birds being seen or heard. Till now, let's just stick to seen. Heard would be a different. Yeah, we'll deal with the heard part in the different question. So Monica says A. Jyotimani says A. Harsh says A. Great.
Yes, sir. A is the answer.
Okay, Titus says A. Rehan says A. So it's actually carrying forward from the previous question. We were asking where can the bird be seen the most, which was the lightest. So in the opposite end would be where can the bird be seen the least, would be the densest, and everything is in between. So yeah, A should be the answer. So as the density of vegetation, or over here the greenness of the color, darkness of the color increases, the bird is seen less and less. Everyone with me till now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Shall we move on to the next question? The answer is A over here. Okay?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So the next question is on your screen. Okay, Monica says B. Monica, think about the answer a little bit more. Why do you think your detection probability of the bird will increase with the increasing distance? Is anything else changing?
Sir, my answer is A.
Okay. Rehanul says C, remains stable with the increasing distance from the surveyor. So, according to Monica and Rehanul, if I am at one location and so the probability that I see a bird which is at 2 meter distance, and the probability I see the same bird at 20-meter distance, according to Monica, it would the probability of seeing the 20-meter distance away bird would be more than the probability of seeing the 2-meter away bird. And according to Raihanul, the probability of seeing the bird at 20-meter distance is equal to the probability that I see the same bird at 2-meter distance. Am I clear with this? Monica and Raihanul? Really? A bird that is 2-meter away and a bird that is 20-meter away have the same probability of being seen? I mean, the same size, same bird. Come on. How is that possible? Probability of being seen, not the probability of being there. There's a difference between the two probabilities that I'm talking about. The probability that the bird is there is the same. I understand that. But the probability that the bird is seen by me, by I am the observer over here, or by you are the observer over here, won't the probability change as you go away, as the bird goes away from you? Yeah, it would be less. Did you understand, Rehanul? Did everyone else understand? I know Titus understood. Monica and Harsh, you said less. So you understand why the answer is A, right? Yeah, okay. So in both the cases, if I am the observer, I mean anybody could be observer, but if I am the observer, if the bird is closest to me, I will be able to recognize the bird. I'll be able to see the bird probably much better than when the bird is very far away from me, or when the distance of the bird increases from my position. Yeah. So even if it's in line transect or point count transect, the probability of the detection function, the probability of the detection of the bird actually starts reducing as one moves away, or as the bird moves away from the observer, or as the bird or basically from the it reduces with the distance. Okay, so the answer is A. Okay, cool. I'll move on to the next question. So basically, the point of this thing is, I mean, that there are two detection and there are two probabilities. One is that the bird is actually present or not. Okay, so there's a probability that says the bird is present or not. So that depends on a lot of variables. The variables could be like there's a shrub in the vicinity. So the shrub is basically a lot of birds seeks shrub as a refuge. Like sparrows are found in the shrubs. Like small birds usually are found in the shrubs, and or there's a tree over there, so like large birds would be sitting on a tree. So if the tree is present, the probability of finding that bird is high. Okay, I'm talking about the bird being present or not. Okay, then there's a different probability, the probability that the observer sees the bird. Okay, so that depends on several other variables. So the one of the variables is how dense the vegetation is. If the vegetation is very light, like a grassland or something, probably with the binocular you'll be able to see the bird immediately. Okay, or even without a binocular if the bird is very close. But if the bird is very far away, you'd be able to see the bird without any hindrance. But if the vegetation is very dense, like a forest or something, I mean, how many birds do you even see in a forest? You're mostly able to hear the birds in the forest, right? It's not possible for you to see all the birds that are present in the forest, right? So that's why there are two probabilities that we are talking about here. One is the distribution, whether the bird is present or not, and one is the probability that the bird is seen by the observer or not, seen or heard, or basically identified or detected. Okay, so I wanted to make this clear with these questions. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay. So, what do you think are the other factors that can affect the detection probabilities of animals? Harsh says D.
Yes, sir, all of the above.
Okay. Bilal says D. Monica says D. Parna D. Jyotimini says D. Okay. Okay. So, how does wind affect the detection probability? Can anyone explain that to me? Answer is D, of course, all of the above. I'm agreeing with you, but how does it affect?
So when wind blow, the bird will answer. So as an observer, for me, it's very difficult to detect the bird.
Okay. So we are talking about the probability of being seen as well as probability. So the lot of bird watchers sometimes recognize a bird with that call, right? I mean, people must be knowing by now that seeing the animal is not the only way how you detect the animal. Sometimes you detect the animal by the dung or by the scat it leaves behind. Like elephants are detected by elephants are said to be present in an area if you find elephant dung in a forest, right? Similarly, deer dung, deer, what is it called? Yeah, dung only. Something else. Pellets. So, deer would leave behind pellets. So, you'll say, okay, there's a presence of sambar deer, there's a presence of barking deer, or something like that. Similarly, in birds, you either see the bird and say, okay, the bird was present over here, or you hear the bird. You say, okay, I hear short wing calling right now. So I know that the short wing is present. Okay, so the wind can affect the probability that sometimes if the bird is a distance is certain distance away, then the wind can change that can affect your being able to hear the bird. So that's why wind can affect the detection probability of the bird. Time of the day, can someone explain how, apart from Titus, someone explain how time of the day can affect the detection of the bird?
So sometimes birds are, for example, if we want to see owls, we will not be able to find them during the day,
Yeah.
and we will probably find them at the night.
Perfect. Yeah. So Raihanul says that owls are only found in the night, so probably one can, almost never detect it in the day. But people do detect owls, but in the day it's slightly difficult because the owls are not active and they are not moving around. Similarly, if you are in a forest and you are depending totally solely on the calls of the bird to detect the bird, then it would be very easy to detect the bird in the morning when the birds are most vocal, the dawn chorus, like early morning before, just after the sun rises. There's this whole all the birds start singing at once, so that is the dawn chorus, and that is one time where you can easily detect a bird based on the calls. Evening also, when they are starting to roost, they make a lot of noises, so you can easily detect a bird. In the afternoon, this becomes very difficult for one to detect a bird if they are solely basing their detection probabilities on the calls of the bird. How do you think it changes with the observer?
Sir, person having myopia, hypermetropia problem.
Yeah.
So that's the reason
Or
the
can you
observers
think of some
didn't
other
know them.
reason, Titus? Yeah, I know
Uh,
the part where being able to see that affects, but can you think of some other reason? Also think about in the terms of being able to. Also think about in the terms of calls of the bird. So the person is trying to detect the bird based on the calls of the birds. So I know how a pigeon sounds. I know how a crow sounds, but I might not know how a bugun, leochichla, or some other bird in some other part of the country sounds, right?
yes,
So
yes.
even if the
Yes,
bird
sir.
is singing
Yes,
next
sir.
to
This is
me,
latest knowledge, sir.
yeah, the knowledge, the
Understand.
experience of the person also depends.
Yes.
Also affects the detection probability of that animal for the observer.
Yes.
So is everyone okay? Should I move on to the next question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, this is part of my thesis where I'm looking at all these birds and their detections and the occupancy probabilities are. Over here I'm only showing the detection probabilities. So it depends on several factors like how dense is the vegetation, how close is the plot to a stream or a river, what is the canopy cover, how dense is the canopy cover, is there light or underneath in the understory of the forest, or are there other kinds of shrubs or fruiting trees which can affect the detection or which can affect the fact that some birds are there or some birds are not there, like fruit eating birds are there or not, elevation, basal area. These are all things that affect the birds in my PhD study. So this is just for your reference. There's no question over here. We'll move on to the next question, seventh question. People can give it a read and try. So the question says, mist netting is it's like a method to capture birds in a forest. So basically, when you're trying to look at the genetic component of a bird or something of that sort, or you're trying to look at what are the disease-causing parasites on the bird, so then you have to catch the bird, like sometimes. So for research studies like that, so the best way to catch a bird is mist netting. It's like the net is like is even finer than your fish net that you see often on the beaches. So it's finer, it's black in color, and if you put it up in a forest, and if the forest is something like Kodaikanal or Munnar, and there's lot of mist or something, then you won't even see the mist, this net. So the birds don't see the net and they get caught in the net. And then you go and pick out the bird. I don't know. I mean, take out blood sample or something for genetic material, and then you release the bird. That's the whole point of mist netting. Okay. So we are trying to make a species diversity list of all the forest bird species through mist netting. Okay, through this method. What do you think would be the drawback of this method? We either miss some individuals, we miss some bird species, we miss the females of some bird species, or we miss the juveniles of some bird species. There are answers that I can see. Bilal says D, Rayhanu says B. Yeah, Kriti says B and Jyotimani says B. The three people who have said B, do you have an explanation for that? Titus says A. Okay.
So, for example, if some birds like raptors, they fly very high. So I think that they will not get caught in that net.
Okay. So so Rehanul has made a point. He says that some birds which are flying very high won't be caught in a mist net that is like 3 meter tall. Okay. And Titus, yes, we do miss out some individual birds, but do we need to collect all individuals to look at the species diversity? We just need one bird of one species, right? So even if we miss other individuals of the same species, does that even matter? Do you get my point, Titus?
Yes, sir. Can I change my answer, sir?
Yeah. Please, this is not it's not a Kaun Banega Crorepati. But of course, you can change the answer. So what is the answer now? Titus. And Bilal, you were saying D. Why do you say it's D, juveniles?
Sir, is it necessary to count the juvenile species as we take the adult one?
Yeah, if we have adult, then why even juvenile? But yeah, I mean, exactly. So you don't even need to count the juvenile. If we have the adult, then you already have the species diversity list, right?
Yes, sir. So, sir, my answer is B, sir.
Okay. Bilal, is it okay? Bilal, is it clear why it is B? Okay. I think Bilal doesn't want to answer. Oh no, he said something. No. Okay, cool. Thank you, Bilal. So, okay, so the answer is B. We miss some bird species. So not just raptors that are flying above, over the, so it's like basically flying over this thing, mist net. There could be other birds which are not understory birds. So 3 meter is basically understory of a forest, right? There are birds that are living in the canopy. So canopy birds are also never caught in mist net, that are, not never, but they're seldom caught in the mist net that are like 3 meter high. So there are chances of you missing a lot of bird species which do not come on the ground or which do not come on the understory. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. Yeah, so it's the same thing, and we have a playback speaker on one side of the mist net. You can see the speaker over here. If it's not clear, I'll just point it out. And this time we are not looking to trying to make a species diversity list over here, but what we are trying to do is estimate the population of small understory forest birds. Okay, so it's understory, so basically all the birds that live or that reside in the understory of a forest. That understory is mostly up to 5 meter or 6 meter, not more than that. So, or 3 meters. So we are counting only the understory birds. We are not worried about the canopy birds being missed or something. But what we are doing is estimating the population of the understory birds, and we are doing it with a playback speaker. Playback is basically recorded songs of birds played while capturing. If any one of you is a birder, they'll understand. It's a very unethical way of people who are trying to take photographs of birds, they do this a lot. But first of all, you need permits to do that. Second of all, it's better if only the researchers do that, because it creates a lot of problem in the bird population. But anyways, what is the answer? What do you think will happen if we do a playback experiment, or if we do a playback to capture birds, understory birds, and what the target is to estimate the population? What do you think happens? What do you think are the drawbacks this time?
Sir, what is the role of that playback speaker?
Okay, so some birds, birds are usually very territorial. Not just birds, even tigers, lions, most animals are very territorial. So they have a particular territory that they fight for, that they protect, that they basically challenge other animals if they enter that territory. Okay, so if they hear another bird making the same call that they make, then there's a chance that these birds immediately come out in the open. Or even tigers or lions. If you do a playback if you record a roar of a lion or a tiger in the jungle, there's a very high chance that tiger actually may seek you out, because it's trying to defend its territory, and it will try to see what other individual is out there making the same call as them. Okay, so there's a chance that the animal will actually come out in open to defend the territory if the call is within the territory of the animal. So same goes with birds. So a lot of people use playback to get the birds to come out in the open so that they can take photographs, but that's actually unethical, and only researchers are allowed that. But if suppose we are doing an experiment over here and we want to increase our chances of seeing the bird or counting the bird or catching the bird, and that's why we're using playback. So are we clear about why we are using playback? Yeah. So people say that the answer is D or C. D is we miss the ground birds. C is we miss the juveniles of some birds. Okay, there's a very important biological factor related to playback. Most of the song that the birds make, very likely the singing birds are males of the species. Okay, and they are singing to attract a female or to defend a territory. There would be various reasons, but these are all mostly males that are defending their territory by singing. Okay, and if a male bird listens to another male bird singing, or if it listens to any song that could be a potential male bird, then there's a likelihood that male bird comes out in open to defend the territory and not the female bird. Understood? So there is a chance that if we are using playback over here, then we catch mostly male birds and not the female birds. Are we clear why we are the answer is B and not A, B, C, D? Sorry, the light is just. Yeah, are we clear? Yeah, I think the, yeah. Okay, wow. Okay. Can people hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So sorry about this, but we just have a power cut right now. Cool. Then we'll move on to the next question. Yeah. Suppose we have to make a species list of all the birds of an unsampled forest, and we place several transect, line transect or point any one of those transect across the forest. How do we know when to stop our sampling and that we have all the species recorded? Can people tell me the answer? Aniket says B, Rehanu says A. Krish says A. Anybody else with any other answer? Or the same answer that people have given? Okay. So the options are we either look at the species area curve, or we check the local bird guidebook, or we ask bird experts of other forests. D is we will never know. Okay. So the thing is, it's an unsampled forest. So the forest has never been sampled before. So
What is unsampled forest means?
So unsurveyed. Do you understand that? Surveyed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
unsurveyed forest. So basically, the forest has never been surveyed before. So using a local bird guidebook to determine that the number of species that we have recorded is enough is slightly tricky, because the local guidebook, because it's not been surveyed before, the local guidebook might not have some of the birds. And bird experts of other forests, again tricky, because those experts have not visited the forest that we are sampling or surveying. So I mean, if you want to pick an answer, then we can easily go with A, but there's a better reason for that. People know what species area curve is, right? Titus,
Sir.
Parna, yeah. People who have not given the answer A, like apart from Rehanul and Krish, people know what species area curve is?
No, sir.
Okay, so what happens is when we are sampling, so we have one transect, we have second transect, we have third transect, we have fourth transect. We have like several transect in that forest. Okay, so in the first transect we saw 7 species of birds. Okay, so in the second transect saw 5 species that we have already seen in the first transect. We don't see the other 2 species, but we see new species, like 3 more species. Okay, so how many total species have we seen till now?
8 species, sir.
No, more than that. We saw 7 in the first transect. In the second transect, we see 5 of the already seen birds of the first transect, but we see 3 more species, new species, in the second transect. So how many more species are we talking about?
3.
3. So how many total species have we seen till now?
So 13.
7 plus 3, right?
Oh,
10.
okay. So 7 transect, 10.
Yeah.
7 plus 3, 10.
Yeah. Then we go to the next transect, the third transect, and this time we see 2 more new species. How many would that be? How many would the total number of species be? 12.
So, 10.
Plus 2, right?
10 plus 2.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that way we keep on increasing the number of new species that we see. Okay?
Yes, sir.
But there would be a time when the number of species, the number of new species that you see slowly starts to reduce. Okay. In the initial phase, when we were looking at the first transect, the second transect, the third, fourth, fifth, you'll easily find a lot of new species coming in in each transect. But when you're doing like 26 transect or 27 transect or something like that, you'll find that the new species that are coming are considerably reducing. Okay, so I want to show you I think we have covered species area curve a long time back. I have to see where it is though. Yeah, this is it. So basically, what will happen is, let's just focus on the green line first. What happens is, the number of plots, as you increase the number of plots, the number of species that you, there would be a lot of species that you see in each plot, but the number of new species that you see slowly tends to reduce as you increase the number of plots. Okay, so there would be a time when this line that you see, the green line over here, just becomes flat. There would be no more number of species, there would be no more new species that you see. Okay, so this line where this area where the line becomes flat would tell you that, okay, I think we have sampled enough, we don't need to sample anymore. Do you get my point?
Yes, sir.
Everyone? Okay, cool. So I'll go back to the question that we were looking at. It's almost 19:03. Do you want me to stop? Or we have one more question and we can stop? Just one more question and we can stop. This is the last question. I don't have to repeat this same question in the next session. So yeah, the question is on your screen. Which amongst the following are deterministic factors that might affect the population of a forest species? Okay, deterministic, the sir was talking about stochastic and deterministic. So basically stochastic is something that happens like by chance. So something that may affect the population of a forest species, but it happens once in a while. Like a forest flood may happen like once in 3 years, once in 4 years. A forest fire may happen once in 5 years or something like that. Diseases may not happen every year. It may happen like once in 2 years or once in 3 years, like a big disease. But population density almost always affects the population. Like it's not like so if the population density is too high, there's a chance that the population would be affected because the food resources get reduced. Okay, so that is a deterministic factor. The others that I was talking about, that like the flood and the forest fire and the diseases, are stochastic factors. So the answer over here is B. I hope you understood the difference between the deterministic factor and stochastic factor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
So the sarcastic factors are flood, forest fire, and diseases like that.
Yeah. Something that happens. So it is by chance. It just happens by chance. The population doesn't. It's not because of the population. It's only by chance. Okay, so that's what stochastic events are.
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
deterministic factor is the population itself.
Yeah,
Is
population.
the-
So it can be anything. Like there could be some disease that no not disease, but yeah, it could be anything. But population density is like one of the major deterministic factors. It could be birth rate. It could be growth rate. It could be death rate or something. Those are also deterministic factors. They're all depending on the population. Okay, so I'll end the session over here. That was the last question for today. Cool. I think population can be calculated by graph, mortality, birth rate. Didn't understand your question, Aniket. Can we pick that question up back in the next session when we are here? I don't think time is left to answer that question or to discuss about that question. Sure. Okay. Cool. Everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Okay. Bye.
Good night, sir.
Right.